It is the G1 CLIMAX 33 recap and review show here, right here on the MrWarrenHayes show. Whether you're watching this on youtube.com/MrWarrenHayes or on your favorite podcast application, you're getting it. You're receiving your daily dose of G1 coverage, and the last day where we are covering round robin action in the G1 because it's done. D block is in the books. We're wrapping it all up, pal. It's finito. We're moving on to the playoffs starting tomorrow, so we've got to take the time to break down the very last day of action in the G1. Thank you very much for being here, by the way. I appreciate it a great deal. If you're on YouTube right now, I would appreciate a like and a subscription because those things help out grow the channel tremendously, actually. And it's the same for 5-star reviews and ratings as well. 5-star ratings on your podcast application on the audio side of things. Again, just little gestures that will help make a big difference in the life of the MrWarrenHayes show. So let's get right to it. Let's start talking about Block D, final night. The die is cast, as they say at this point. We're at the Axe City. We were at Axe City in Hamamatsu today, and these are the results per usual. I'm not talking about the undercard. We're only focusing on the actual block matches here. So we had Alex Coughlin defeated Toru Yano. We had Jeff Cobb and Haste go to a double countout. Zack Sabre Jr. defeated Hirooki Goto, and Tetsuya Naito defeated Hiroshi. Tanahashi. Let's get right to the matches. Alex Coughlin versus Toru Yano. Look, there's not much to say here. Yano and Coughlin were both eliminated a while back, a few nights ago, so there was, there were no stakes to this match. They couldn't even spoil someone's match here. It was just a couple of eliminated guys doing eliminated guy things. But in this one, I guess the notable part is that Gabriel Kidd attacked Toru Yano from behind. Of course, Gabriel Kidd being Alex Coughlin's tag team partner, and they double team Yano. Big brawl into the audience, which actually brought out aggressive Yano. It wasn't happy-go-lucky goofball Yano. We got Yano was just a little pissed off. It's like, okay, you guys want to play this? I've done this before. I can walk the walk, but the match in and about itself, cage match has it at 5 minutes and 7 seconds, but there was a whole it had to be an easily 6 to 7 minute portion where they were just beating the shit out of Yano, and Yano trying to fight back. Alex Coughlin wins with a jackhammer, so that's fine. Haste and Jeff Cobb went to a double countout. So I enjoyed this match. First and foremost, let's get that out of the way. I thought this was pretty fun. Haste early on, he wants to establish the fact that he's a contender. He can do stuff here. So he lands an apron bomb on Jeff Cobb, and he starts picking him apart with knees and a neck breaker. Cobb fights back with corner lariats and the standing moonsault, and then they fight a little more. They end up walking up the apron, not the apron. They get off the apron and walk up the ramp, I should say. And Haste gets back body dropped on at the top of the ramp. So Cobb, starts coming back down, but Haste does everything he can to keep Cobb from getting into the ring, throwing obstacles in his way, launching himself at him, even holding on to his foot so that he can't break the 20 count. Both guys get counted out. And the story here was that, Haste just made it a little easier for Zack to, the idea was to make it easier for Zack to qualify, because if we recall correctly, Jeff Cobb had an elimination on Zack Sabre Jr. So it just made it a little simpler for him to move forward. So with that out of the way, all he had to do to qualify was to defeat Hirooki Goto, he being Zack Sabre Jr. So there you go. So I mean, that's good news. That's good news for Zack. So it was really, the story here was the buddy doing something to help out Cobb. So so the previous match, see, this is what I mean when I was saying in the previous match where Yano and Coughlin had no impact whatsoever. This match did have impact, and they leaned into that. And Shane Haste at the end, he was on the floor saying, I won, which I thought was a nice little touch. So good for him. Good for Haste, who finishes with 1 extra point. Good on him. Then we had Zack Sabre Jr. defeating Hirooki Goto. I really liked this one. I thought this match was great, actually. And the guys are older, maybe not as nimble as they once were, especially in the case of Goto specifically. But this match ruled nonetheless. And this was a Zack Sabre Jr. pace match, right? With the precision strikes and slipping in and out of holds and just going at that brisk pace that Sabre likes to have. He's had multiple matches in this tournament where it was the other guy's pace, but this one, no, he was absolutely in control. He's working the lower back of Goto, whose rib injuries, or at least situation, seems to have cleared up somewhat. But nonetheless, Junior's going for it, lands a back suplex, big exchange between the two with lots of power moves and the Zack driver. And they're at some point in this match, they just start laying bombs on each other, which was fantastic. Goto avoids the Euro clutch, and Zack Sabre Jr. does a magnificent transition from a Cobra twist to this devilish twist, a stretch of evil, I should say. And the stretch, he ended up calling it, because they put up the name of the finisher at the on New Japan, on NJPW 1972 is what I'm trying to say. Zack puts up the names of his finishers, because it's not always a finisher that has a name. Sometimes he just puts a guy in a hold. And he called this one, when did they put all the Argos inside Sainsbury's? Which is I think this is one that this is one of his best, I believe. I really think this is one of his best. But very strong match, very good. A fantastic semi-main event with Zack Sabre Jr. landing his final 10 points. And then Tetsuya Naito took on Hiroshi Tanahashi. And the match starts, and Naito's doing, he's doing Naito things. So what does Hiroshi Tanahashi do? He goes up for a quick roll-up to start it off. And that sends Naito to the floor. He's like, okay, tranquilo. It's, he wants to dictate the pace, of course. And then Tanahashi gets in control early, right until Naito locks in the full, the leg full Nelson. Tanahashi lands the somersault senton and a dragon screw. He does an aces high to the floor. So I'm looking at this and I'm like, okay, we have big match Tana right now. And it just had fantastic impact, right? And the camera work on it was impeccable. It was just a beautiful shot, and it was perfectly landed. It's great stuff. Sling blade and aces high back in the ring. He goes for the high fly flow. Naito lifts up his knees. Short arm elbows to the neck by Naito at the 15-minute mark. So again, we're working the time into the situation here. He lands an Esperanza. Tanahashi tries to go for a triple twist and shout, and lands a straight jacket German. As I said, we're getting big match Tana here. We get some elbows by Naito, a slap by Tanahashi. Naito spits in his face, and then he goes for a swing DDT, I should say, off the ropes. But instead of following through and releasing the hold, he holds on to it into a cradle and gets the pin. A fantastic finish to this main event. I love the finish so much. And a great main event to finish off the round robin tournament. Look, I'm not changing gears here and telling you all, oh, well, Tanahashi's back. No, you can still see the limitations. But I think Tanahashi is also at this point where he's going to work smart. He's going to do what he needs to do, during the run-of-the-mill matches, the build-ups, whatever. He's gonna take it nice and tranquilo, as one guy would say. But when it's time to turn it up, when it's time to go ham, as they say, when it's time for a big main event match, then he shows up, because that's what we got here. That is specifically what we got with this match. You can still see the limitations, and we have to stop pretending that Tanahashi is not broken down and that it is finally catching up with him. We have to stop pretending. But this guy loves the business. It's what he does best. He is one of the greatest of all time, so he knows when to turn it up. We didn't get this Tanahashi much during the tournament. We got him here. We got him where it counted. Main event of the last night of block action. So Tetsuya Naito goes forward. He's actually top of the block. He is numero uno. Zack Sabre Jr. bringing up the rear then. And that breaks it. That's about it for D block. If I were to give you any recommendations for this show, I'd say watch the last two matches I spoke of. Watch Goto and Sabre and Naito and Tanahashi. I thought those two are well worth your time. They were great matches. If you want to see Shane Haste get the best of Jeff Cobb, and Jeff Cobb being extremely disappointed in himself afterwards, it's far from being a terrible match, but it's not required viewing. But if there's a little completionism hanging out in you, well, then go right ahead and do it. Absolutely skip the first match. So now we have our playoff situation set up for tomorrow. We're all getting the quarterfinals out of the way tomorrow, by the way. No nonsense. It's going to be an eventful one. So we have Sonata versus Evil on the left side of the brackets, I should say. Sonata and Evil will be facing off against each other, and then still on the same side, Kazuchika Okada and Zack Sabre Jr. On the opposite side, on the right side, Dave Finlay versus Will Ospreay, and Tetsuya Naito versus Hikuleo. So, by the way, I think I want to make take a moment here to emphasize the fact that in a G1 in which I was marred with L's when it comes to my predictions, I at least got this D block right. At the very least, D block worked for me. And I called it, and I said it even yesterday on the show, on the recap, that Naito and Junior was the safe money. Here we are. Might as well pat myself on the back for this one. I'm pretty. You gotta take those wins, and you gotta emphasize them when they come. So when it comes to the first set of quarterfinals, right? So we got Sonata and Evil, which I am not particularly excited about, let's go see on New Japan. So thankfully, if the match order is correct here, and usually they do say it when the match order hasn't been set, but it is set here. Sonata and Evil does not seem to be the main event. So that's a good sign for, if we're not main eventing a show with House of Torture nonsense. But then again, it's like, okay, well, Sanada's not in the main event and he's the champion. Well, that's a whole other discussion. But I still think it's interesting to point out. Look, I could not be less excited about this match. I just want this one to happen and go away. I know a lot of you out there are very high on Sanada and, saying that he's doing a great job as a champion. He's this great, this great refreshing, this great refresh that he went through has permeated everything he does. I disagree. I could not be, I could not disagree more with any assessments that how just 5 guys Sanada has changed. I think his character right now is just, I'm Sanada without a beard and a new finisher. Anything that he could have done to try and spice things up and make his matches feel different, he hasn't done. I still don't think Sanada is a great match type of guy, which is important in New Japan, that your main event guys, that your champion is able to have excellent matches, right? And I don't think he's that guy. If he can pull one out of Evil, good for him. But we've seen Sanada versus Evil in the past, and they're never really the most compelling matches, and I think that I'm putting it mildly. And then on top of that, we're having Evil nonsense. We're having House of Torture nonsense. Probably the Just 5 guys are going to be doing some stuff. Like, I am not looking forward to this. I just want this to get out of the way so Sanada can have his win, so we can move on to the next level. Like, I'm already disinterested when it comes to this, so I'm already excited for that match to be done. Okada versus Zack Sabre Jr. is going to be great. These guys work great together. They have good chemistry. Zack always seems to bring a little, always seems to bring out a little extra edge out of old Kazu, and that one I'm looking forward to. I fully expect Kazuchika Okada to win, because I think an Okada-Sanada match makes a lot of sense here when we get to the semifinals. It'll be, at the very least, dramatic. Because you know why? Now that we're done with all the Kiyomiya scenarios and whatnot, although I still think Okada Kiyomiya at the Dome for Wrestle Kingdom could still be a thing. But then again, maybe not even this year, because I was thinking for this year, right? But then look at the story that they told in Block A. Kiyomiya can't even hang with the new guys in the company. And the new guys can't hang at all. They couldn't even get out of the block. So when I say the new guys, we're talking about the Musketeers. If Kiyomiya can't hang with the new crop of, if he can't hang with the new crop of future stars, what chance does he have against the greatest of all time in Kazuchika Okada? And that's a fair story to tell. So maybe Okada Kiyomiya 2 doesn't happen this year. And I'll tell you what, if Okada versus Sanada happens in the semifinals, I would fully expect Okada to be going to the Dome as champion. That's what I think. Why? Because I think that would mean that Okada gets a win over Sanada, and therefore he'll get a chance to. He has an opportunity for the title. They're going to have a show in October where the title could change hands. Don't kid yourselves. New Japan's main goal for the Dome this year will be to get as many asses in those seats as possible. They want to start climbing back to levels that they got that they were getting pre-pandemic back in 2019. That's what they want to do. So they're gonna drag out the heavy hitters. I don't think Sanada's a heavy hitter. I don't think Sanada's a business mover. It doesn't make sense that he'd be in the main event for this. You put Kazuchika Okada up there, then you're picking up a few more tickets. And here's something else. Like when I say don't kid yourself, keep in mind, the Kaiji Muto retirement match at the Dome drew more than Wrestle Kingdom this year. And don't think this is lost on anyone. This is absolutely on the brain for New Japan. So I think we get our semifinals here. Sanada and Okada. And they also want to get people, in these G1 matches too. They want to get these people in here. That'll happen on Saturday, right? August 12th. I think Okada goes over Sanada. And Okada goes to the finals. What's going on the right side of the bracket? Well, I'm glad you asked. We have Ospreay and Finlay and Naito versus Hikuleo. Let's do the easy part. Naito is going to defeat Hikuleo. Again, when you look back at what happened during the G1, Hikuleo, rough start, then started winning dominantly and getting over guys. Goto likes his big monster types. He likes his baby faces, to have to fight the big giants to get their wins. Even recent history will show that. They did it with Jonah and Kazuchika Okada. They did it with Jeff Cobb. What was it, 2 years ago? With Okada as well. This is it. This is what they're doing with Naito and Hikuleo. Hikuleo doesn't move past the quarterfinals. As for Finlay and Ospreay, you could argue that this one's a little more up in the air. It'll all depend on what they want to do. It'll depend on what they're doing with Ospreay, what Ospreay's doing moving forward. How much more of a push they want to continue giving Dave Finlay. I think a lot of people are expecting Will Ospreay to move forward. I wouldn't be surprised in the slightest. And this might be a dark horse or a dark horse pick, but I think Dave Finlay going to the semis makes a lot of sense. Continues establishing him as a premium guy. He's beating some of the top guys in the company. Leader of Bullet Club, this reinvigorated Bullet Club. It makes a lot of sense. Just like it makes a lot of sense to have Will Ospreay move over. He's, the greatest wrestler on the planet right now. And he's a champion, but so is Finlay. And he'll get great matches out of Finlay and out of Naito. Like, that's just an assurance. Is he a bigger draw than Dave Finlay? I would assume. So maybe putting him on the card for the 12th is also a good idea. Anyway, this is all going to lead us to the finals, which I believe will be Kazuchika Okada and Tetsuya Naito. And this may sound redundant and boring to a lot of you, to a lot of old heads, but I think when it comes to business, I think when it comes to overall interest, you put your top guys in here. Okada being the top guy, of course, and Naito being the most popular wrestler in all of New Japan. And you give the briefcase to Naito, the contract, and is carried around in a briefcase as well. And he goes off to Wrestle Kingdom, and he finally has his moment. That's, I think, what we're all hoping for at the very least. It would really be a full circle moment for Naito for that to happen. So, I don't think Okada wins another G1, another consecutive G1. I think Naito should get it, and I think a Tokyo Dome with Naito at the top is smart business. And whatever story you want to tell, whether it's Naito getting his championship win against Kazuchika Okada in the Dome, or whether it's Naito versus his former LIJ pal Sanada in the Dome, whichever story you want to tell, they both work. They both make sense. But I'm thinking business metrics. I hear about this Okada fatigue. I don't know how real it is because he seems to be doing fine. I think he's still a top guy for the company. I may be wrong. I'm not sure about this Okada fatigue stuff, but I definitely think that a Tokyo Dome show put together by with these two at the top makes a lot more sense than having Sonata there. I'm sorry. I really don't see the championship gumption in them. I really don't. I know a lot of people do. I'm not one of them. Yes, I have not seen anything from Sonata that screams world champion, especially in New Japan Pro Wrestling. He's had opportunities to show us that he can have excellent matches on the lead up to the G1 as well. I haven't seen it yet. And the crowds are dead. And I'm sorry to say, you know, the crowd, Hiromu Takahashi running in during that evil match yesterday had a bigger reaction than Sonata coming out on the final night of A Block. I don't know what to tell you. Wait, I do know what to tell you. That's how we're going to wrap up today's recap. Little on the short side, of course. We're having, we don't have much prognostication to do. There isn't much to talk about moving forward here. We've got so we'll be breaking down the quarterfinals tomorrow when we reconvene to see exactly how things are going to come together for the semifinals and then hopefully the finals. So we'll see if my predictions hold water at this point. But I want to thank you all for joining me today. Again, one last pitch for a like or a subscription, a review, all that stuff. I appreciate it a great deal. I will be back like I said, tomorrow for the recap of the quarterfinals. But also, I will be here for my AEW Collision review. So there's a lot of stuff going on, of course, per usual. But whenever you decide to come back and join me, I will see you next time.